You hear a lot of people talk about the problems with America and the world today. Unemployment, the family values have been broken, the family's been torn apart, kids are running around wild. But instead of asking how we got to that point, they're just saying, oh, well, it's here. Well, see, as a thinker, because that's what I am, I like to see the cause and effect ratio on things in the world, and I figured basically what the New World Order did in the 1950s. See, in the 1950s, people didn't lock their car doors, they didn't lock their houses. If you wanted a job, you actually could get one. People weren't on welfare getting checks for popping kids out like candies. And what changed was basically two fundamental cultural movements in the United States. And the first one was women's rights. Yeah, I know. I'm a sexist, I'm a bigot for telling the truth, but keep going, just listen. In the 1950s, women raised the kids. Women took care of the men after they came home from work. Women were basically taking care of the family. See, since the 1960s, the divorce rate has gone up as a direct result of women's rights. Before the 1960s, it was around 5% or less. Now, in the year 2011, the divorce rate is over 50%. What went wrong? What went wrong is the elite, the powers that be, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, basically started funding people like Betty Freeman so she could write books like called The Feminine Mystique of how the middle class housewife was so oppressed that she had to clean the house and she wasn't allowed to do anything else. Oh, the oppression. Meanwhile, they were killing people in China, India, Vietnam, but the woman was oppressed being the housewife. But what happened since the 1960s is the media, through TV, through movies, through popular culture, through movies, again, radio, has basically told a woman that being a housewife is a degrading profession. Why would you want to raise a family? A family does nothing but bring a woman down. A woman is capable of so much more. That's what they told the people. And whether that's true or not is regardless, because we see the effects of women's rights. Now the divorce rate is sky high. Kids are running out of control because the women aren't raising them. The women drop the kids off to daycare, and now someone who's getting paid minimum wage is raising your kid. You think he's going to do a good job doing it? Of course not. Another thing women's rights did was basically before women's rights, you need one income to support the family. After women's rights, you need two incomes to support the family. Why? Because when the women went into the workforce, they diluted it. See, before there was enough jobs for every man out there to support his family by his own income. Now, because you have so many more workers, the cause and effect is it dilutes the working supply, which means through inflation, now you need two incomes, not one, to support a family. Another thing that women's rights did was, the government's gonna, people are gonna tell you, well, yeah, the women, basically went to work and they did this and that, and it gave them freedom. Well, what freedom did it give you? You came from being a housewife to being a corporate slave. I mean, think about it. Before women's rights, the government can only tax half the population, the men. After women's rights, the government taxed everybody. Who's the winner here? Not women, the government. I mean, the way you guys are manipulated so easily is absolutely beyond me. And the thing about it is, most people are watching this video and they're going to be like, this person is hateful. This person needs to be removed off YouTube. This person is a bigot, a sexist. But you've been brainwashed because the truth doesn't matter to you. You're apathetic to the truth. The fact is, before women's rights, the divorce rate was 5%. After, now it's 50%. Before women's rights, women were not whores. At least maybe a small percentage of them were. Now, after women's rights, I'd say 80 to 75% of American women are whores. I mean, they keep their legs open like 7-Eleven. You think that's a good thing? The reason women were called whores and men were called players if they had a lot of women was something called culture. You see, because a woman would keep her legs closed, the culture would flourish. If a woman started running around like a tramp, our culture is finished. For the simple matter that if a woman does not want to raise kids and does not want to be part of the family, it's over. It's over. And back in the Stone Age, they understood this. They understood that women were very impressionable creatures. And I'm not saying all women, obviously. Listen to me. As being a numerologist, I said many times, people who were born in the 7th, 16th, 15th, regardless, 7th, 16th, or 25th, regardless of race or gender, should be running the world. That's men and women included. But you need a majority of the women to be at home to raise the kids. That is without a doubt. Because what has women's rights basically done? Is the world a better place now than it was in the 1950s, 1960s? No. You have to lock your doors. You have to, I mean, it's insane what's going on right now. And people never want to address the facts. Women's rights was the first step. The second step was gay rights. Now I'm going to be called a bigot. Well, the simple fact of the matter is, gays don't benefit society anyway, anyhow. Now, when it comes back to the simple question, Gary, why does this bother you? First of all, if two males are having sex, how does that bother you? Well, on the individual basis, I don't care. As a matter of fact, I believe people should do whatever they want in the privacy of their own home. But see, when this starts being taught in our schools that it's okay to be gay, guess what? More and more people will become gay. Let me give you an example. Because I'm a numerologist, I understand how it works. People who are born in the 2nd and 20th, they have a lot of female characteristics, a lot of female energy. That's just how the numbers work. And 1 symbolizes the male energy, the 2 symbolizes female energy. That's why since the year 2000 hit, that's why the world has been so feminized, because the 1 is out of it there and the 2 is in the main picture now. But when you have a child, say about 8, 9 years old, and he's born a male child, and he's born in the 2nd and 20th, and he has a lot more feminine features. That doesn't make him gay, but see, now they're going to be teaching these kids in school, well, if you like Johnny, guess what? You might be gay. And see, people at that age are very impressionable. So what does that do? Well, first of all, back in the day, gays still had families. So they still added genes, and they still, there is still a lot of valuable DNA they added to the gene pool. So whether, they were gay or not, they didn't act on those intentions because it was a voodoo in society to do those type of things. Now you look at Britney Spears kissing Madonna. I was growing up watching Dawson's Creek. You look at all of these shows and they all have one gay character. They're trying to normalize this into the minds of the young people. And as more and more young people become gay, that means there's less and less kids. Women's rights produces less kids. Gay rights produces less kids. So what do you have? You have a population on decline. That's why Western culture, especially in Europe, America, is falling. Meanwhile, the Muslims are popping out kids, 8 per family. And the demographic in the United States and Europe is about 1.5 per family. You need 2.1 kids per family just to sustain your society. So from that standpoint, there's nothing good about it. Now let's talk about the other standpoint from homosexuals. Homosexuals spread diseases like rats because the sex they have is absolutely unnatural. I'm not saying you can't get AIDS, with a straight person, but look at the statistics. Syphilis, all of these mental disorders come from being homosexuals. Homosexuals commit suicide at a much higher rate than straights. I mean, there's nothing that gays benefit society in no way, no how. But yet it's being promoted. Why? Because it's very simple. Women's rights was the first step in destroying the family. Gay rights is the nail in the coffin of destroying the family values. And you have to understand, when you can't depend on the family, there's only one place to turn, and that's the state. And they know this. The Marxists in the government know this. And that's why they're pushing their Marxist agenda. So before you start talking about equal rights or women's rights or gay rights, start thinking about the cause and effect relationship of everything you believe in. Because let me tell you something. If you support gay rights and women's rights, you're a communist, plain and simple. You don't believe me? Look in the Communist Manifesto that Karl Marx wrote. He said the family is the #1 enemy in the world. And as such, we have to promote homosexuality and feminism. Goes right back to the Communist Manifesto. People, time to wake up. The truth is not hateful. But nowadays everyone's so apathetic. I'm sure I'll be called a bigot. Whatever. I don't care.